and welcome to episode 10 of Wild Ones podcast. We are your hosts. My name's Gillian.
And my name's Alicia. This week we are joined by Bethany Robinson and Eloise Gregor, also known as Beth and Ellie, who were on the most recent episodes of SAS Who Dares Wins on Channel 4. Exciting interview, Gillian.
Yes, they are local to us as well. So we went down to Camborne in Cornwall, which is about 1 hour away.
Yeah, we went on another road trip. I love our road trips.
Yeah, and they're amazing.
I'm excited for this episode because specifically, I think, I say this every week and I'm getting annoyed with myself for saying it. Oh, they tick all the Wild Ones boxes, but literally, they are aspirational, inspirational, indestructible. Like literally, I don't know whether you watch SAS Who Dares Wins.
I think a lot of our people who listen to our podcast or watch on YouTube probably do watch SAS Who Dares Wins. That's the impression that I get from interaction.
Yeah, I think if you do watch it, brilliant, you'll know exactly who we're talking about. And if you don't watch it, just by listening to the podcast or watching it on YouTube, you'll get a real idea of their levels of resilience, especially, and bravery, because it's really cold in Scotland, and what they put their bodies through and the mental resilience that they are capable of in order to get through that sheer hell of SAS Who Dares Wins is very apparent throughout the interview. So stay tuned, get yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, whatever it is you fancy this week. This week we're drinking coffee, more about that at the end, and enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to another week of Wild Ones podcast. If you are watching instead of listening, I have a ridiculous microphone that I'm holding. These things happen, you know, but we're going to go with it, we're going to work with it and see what we've got.
You look like you're doing karaoke.
Do you know, I've never ever done karaoke. I hate karaoke, I can't sing.
It is awful.
It is awful.
I love karaoke. That's where we differ.
Well, you're a good singer.
True that.
Yeah, she can sing. She's a
great
secret
start.
singer.
I can sing for you all right now, but I'm not going to. We move on anyway. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Ellie and Beth this week. We are joined by them, fresh from the end of SAS Who Dares Wins. I don't know what season it was, which is
5.
Season 5, and that's not even including the celeb versions, is it?
No, that's coming up actually. Apparently they wore our old clothes as well, which is interesting.
Really?
Yeah, but that's thinking about. So
Channel 4 can stretch their budget. Katie Price is on it.
Yeah. She'll be wearing our trousers.
Oh, do we? We'll edit that bit. Oh no, we're maybe.
No, it's been mainstream media. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're allowed to tell you.
Is it? Is it a secret? No, it's not. Okay.
Well, we'll find out. And if this stays in, there you go. You might be hearing that first, and if it doesn't, then we'll be deleting it. And
We've only heard it from media, not from the official people. So.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And having us all the way down to Camborne in, I was going to say Dorset then. We're not anywhere near Dorset.
Cornwall.
We're in Cornwall.
Oh, geography.
Yeah. It's not our best point. We did a previous podcast another week in London, and I think we can just about manage to drive from Plymouth to London and now Plymouth to Cornwall. I dread any journeys anywhere else, just in case we have to get a map out.
We need to drive to Hereford.
We could teach
soon.
you some map reading skills though if you need it.
Yeah, hopefully you're all over that now.
Yeah. Now to use a compass.
So, where should we begin?
Wow. So on the show, I mean, for those who haven't watched the show, SAS Who Dares Wins. If you don't know what it's about, are you even a real person? First of all, the Channel 4 concept is that they take people from non-military background, and do you girls want to explain it, because you probably explain it better than what I can.
Explain for us.
So you were basically on the right lines, from non-military background, and they put us straight in at SAS selection and see if we can handle it basically and if we can pass.
Yeah. How many days do you film for?
I think it's 12 in total, So it's not as long as you think. I think some people think we were in there for months.
But it did feel like months though,
Yeah.
because it's like 24/7, you get no breaks.
I always watch
constant.
Love Island and think, oh, they've like known each other for like 2 days and they're like so attached. And then you go into something like that and you're like, I know what they mean.
Yeah,
like people that were only in there for like half a day or like the first day,
You
we
feel
feel
like
like we
you
need them
know.
forever.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Having to like go through the process, I'm sure we'll dig into it a bit more, but having to go through the process of being in a highly emotional state, like 24/7, plus sleeping together, watching each other go to the toilet essentially.
We had to go to the loo in twos.
Yeah.
So.
You always had to.
Love the buddy system. So Channel 4 have aired this series every year more or less, haven't they? And it's been really successful. They usually have it in a different location every time, and you guys got properly stitched up because is it pronounced Rasse? Rasse in northern Scotland, and other series have gone to like some really tropical places, and you get sent in the depth of winter to northern Scotland.
Yeah. It did look cold.
It was
rough.
Horrible. Yeah, the weather was just horrible. Like it could change any second as well.
It never stopped raining either, apart from the last day where it was sunny, and then it was just bitter.
When was it that you filmed?
October.
Oh right, okay. So then it's literally
winter in Scotland.
Yeah.
In fact, in Scotland in the summer it still rains. So.
It's actually quite a quick turnaround from filming to it being on TV as well. Actually, because sometimes
it did feel like forever though.
Like waiting for it to air. Yeah.
Yeah.
And not being able to talk about it, and just with all these unexplained cuts all over your face and hands.
How did you get into it? What?
So I applied, it must have been February, and then I let Ellie know that I'd applied, and she was like, I want to do it too. So then we were both, obviously, because she does that. So then we were both in, and I had to go up for a fitness test, which was cool, but that was in midsummer, and it was on a day where it was 36-degree heat, and it was preparation really, because we drove and we got stuck in so much traffic. It took us 7 hours to get to London. We had like 500 millilitres of water between us and a couple of protein bars, no food. And then we had to go straight in and do a bleep test.
Literally, we got there and 10 minutes later we were doing a bleep test.
Oh, wow.
And it's the men's
did they
fitness
go
test,
to?
10.2. So that, and
same
then
as police firearms.
So it's the male military fitness test that we had to pass. So it's 44 press-ups in 2 minutes, 60 sit-ups.
Jerry can carry with 20 kilos on each arm, and then
static
lift to platform.
And so I'm guessing that because you two are fit anyway, you knew at that point that you'd passed that stage, even though no one's sort of immediately telling you you'd passed.
Well they did. They told us that we had like a checklist, and then we took it to the end, and they were like, "Yeah, you passed. You get to go on stage."
They say like you're not even allowed to like progress any further until you've passed that, so they won't even consider you unless you've passed the fitness test.
Well, for a health and safety aspect, I mean that program is brutal, and none of it is acted as you're actually doing what you're.
And actually, it's like so much more brutal than it looks on the telly as well. Like you see like 10% of what it's actually like. It's so much worse.
Well,
Alicia's
applications are out now.
What you were mentioning the other day, because Alicia's on the heist, was it like 4,000 hours of
4,000 hours of filming for
ridiculous.
8 hours of television.
It's just ridiculous, like how little you get, how much you get to see. Like, it's just like such a tiny.
Well, you lived it for 24 hours a day for basically 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And if you like could work out how much screen time you got compared to
we were mic'd up 24/7. There was basically no sleep anyway, so we were constantly doing something.
And what I find fascinating as well, which is a bit off topic, is that actually it's not you guys just living that scenario. All the producer directors are in there, all of the program runners, the soundies, they are fully throwing themselves into this situation.
And none was super fit as well. Like they were running around like as much as we were. They all had to like train to do it. It's mad.
But with their cameras as well.
Exactly. They're doing what we're doing with carrying a camera.
And backwards. So we're running up the mountain forwards. They're running up it backwards with a massive camera.
You passed it, Mr.
A lot of them are actually ex-military as well, so they like used to be in.
And they all had to sort of be in character as well. They were all really mean
They
to
were
us the whole
horrible
time.
to us.
Really horrible.
We had
Even
to have
the
like
people.
mics changed,
Really?
and they'd be like they get us
Shoving you
outside. You had to
around.
put your hands on the wall, and they'd like pull your top up so your whole bare back was exposed.
I guess
and they're like shoving you around.
You're fully amongst it then, though, I guess, because if they're not like that, then you've got someone going, put your mic on. You need it like constant, don't you?
They
to
were
make you
horrible
feel
to
like
us,
you're
though,
amongst it.
I did have one weird moment. It was the helicopter thing, and something must have gone wrong because they ended up in like a real car, and there was a mirror, and a man in the front that was being quite nice, and we're like, what? And like,
so like heated seats, and you're like, where am I?
And we're just like muddy, and we stink, and this car smelled really nice. Like an airbrush.
Are you doing this to trick me?
So when did you find out for definite that you were both going to be in it? And did
definite,
you? For definite, we really didn't.
It was
find
like
out.
the night.
You still don't know.
No, I don't know what's on it.
No, like
I wasn't confirmed until the night before because so I've got bipolar disorder, and they were like really unsure about me being on the show at all. So the psychiatrists were like ringing me like daily just to check I was still okay with it, and I hadn't just gone mad with the thought of going on the show. I'm like, no, I'm fine, I can still do this. Yeah. And then
the morning we were going, we were told like a taxi would turn up, and then it didn't, and then we still thought then that we weren't going because like we were like, oh, they're just gonna forget about us now because our taxi hadn't turned up.
Oh my god.
It was like that uncertain.
You were here waiting for a taxi to get into the airport.
So they were like,
right, a taxi will be at your house at this time, and then they took you to an airport.
So you had your Bergens packed and all your stuff together, and you were
no,
like,
we weren't doing
anything
anything.
We got there. It was just like we took carry-on luggage. We didn't think we were allowed anything, but other people brought suitcases, but you didn't use it anyway because you had all the possessions.
Can you imagine having your wheelie suitcase?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god. So I guess for them, a unique selling point for you two is that you're sisters as well. So that was probably like a huge draw. That you're both
they've had brothers before, but not ever sisters.
Exactly. To have two like strong females that are
that
sisters
can pass the fitness test as well, because I got the feeling there were a lot of women that couldn't actually pass the fitness test.
Precisely. So. How old are you both, by the way?
I'm 28.
26.
Ah, okay. That's why you were saying that she always copies you.
No comment. So she's just really competitive. Well, we're both really competitive, but Ellie particularly, if I'm doing something, she's like, I'm going to do it too.
And you are a solicitor.
Yes.
And you are a teacher.
Yeah, an art teacher and an SMH school.
So when did you both, because you're both massively into CrossFit.
Yeah.
When did you get into CrossFit?
So originally it was kind of my husband's idea, because he was a strength and conditioning coach at like a professional rugby club, and he got me into Olympic weightlifting, and Beth was really struggling at the time, and she was like really depressed, and she gained a lot of weight, and we were like devising a plan how to get Beth better again, really, and he suggested training like at home in a home gym, and we started doing a bit of like Olympic weightlifting and some powerlifting as well, and from that we led into CrossFit, and we just when you'd been doing it for about 6 months. I was
quite good at it. Like straight off the bat, I had like 100 kilo deadlift or something within about 2 weeks, and then also like 150, 170 odd, like almost immediately. And then
my max is 100. I'm just gonna leave now.
I was 18 stone at the time though, so it's like mass moves mass. Like you see all these strong men and they're massive.
So this is like 10 years ago. Then.
No, 18 stone.
Oh, 18 stone. Oh, so how many years ago was this?
This is in 2016. December 2016 is when I started CrossFit, so it would have been like the August before that, because it was 6 months.
Yeah. And you were 18 stone?
Yeah, I was 18 stone then.
I've seen some
that
pictures.
Was as heavy as I'd ever weighed myself. I think I was probably heavier than that, but I don't know. So.
Wow. I know.
I was like size 22, 24, I think, but I just bought stretchy clothes. So I didn't really know.
Stretchy clothes are the best. Yeah. Still living for stretchy clothes. So that's incredible. So you said earlier off camera you've lost 6 stone.
I lost 6 stone in that 1 year, so between December 2016 and then the end of 2017, and then I lost a further stone the following year, and then gained a stone back again in muscle, and I'm a bit heavier now because I've gained even more muscle and a little bit of fat as well. But like
Christmas.
Exactly. My weight always yo-yos depending on how I'm training and how I want to perform as well, because you can sort of manipulate that to be better at your sport too. So.
This is going to be the kind of question that you probably get asked a lot, but actually, do you find that doing CrossFit and weight training, Olympic lifting has massively benefited your mental health?
Absolutely, 100%. It's what keeps me stable. So, and they told me that as well. They tried me on, because I've got bipolar disorder, they try you on loads of medication to try and fix it. Nothing was working. And they said at the end of me trying all of these things, well, you could just try lifestyle changes. And I'm like, why did you not tell me this first? So, I started like sleeping enough but not too much, and then eating enough vegetables, because that kind of helps you like rebalance all your brain chemicals that are like out of whack, and then exercise. So CrossFit, just doing that 5 days a week, 6 days a week, just levels me. And still, even if I have a few days off, I do start to feel a bit depressed, or just a bit anxious. So I just go straight back to it.
Serotonin, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. So the way they explained it to me is, if you're as healthy as you possibly can be, and you give your body its best chance to sort of sort everything out and be at the healthiest state it can be, so all those chemicals then level to the place they're supposed to be in, rather than being like out of whack. That's all it is. Yeah, it works for anybody, even if they don't have bipolar disorder. It works for anyone that struggles with mental health.
Yeah.
I think it's really important as well that I mean, we talk to a lot of people who are outdoorsy people or fit people.
Yeah.
But it's really important to get the point across that it's okay to be whatever size or shape you want to be. It's the being healthy mentally and physically that's the most important bit.
And there are loads of people that look physically fit and possibly are, but are mentally not okay, and that's just.
And there are lots of people that look physically fit but actually are not healthy.
That's
as well.
Point,
you know, because I've been a lot smaller than I am now, but I probably wasn't eating anywhere near the right amount
especially
of
people
food,
that are really lean,
food.
because that's not good for your body. You're supposed to have a certain amount of body fat, and actually that's why in CrossFit you'll see CrossFitters have more body fat than bodybuilders, because that's how you perform best, when your hormones are working properly and you're actually
I've suffered from depression and anxiety for years and been medicated on and off since I was about 23. I'm 39 now. And I actually found that whilst I was exercising regularly, that I was at my happiest as well. Not necessarily at my skinniest, but certainly at my happiest.
And when you eat healthily and drink water, that does actually make me feel so good as well. It's I find for myself, it's when I let my diet go and just eat crap and don't drink enough water.
It does taste at the moment, in the moment it tastes good, but then after you're like, I hate myself.
I've tried to eat my feelings with cheesecake for years, and it never helps.
I love cheesecake.
No amount of cheesecake will fix how bad you feel.
Is cheesecake your go-to then? Is it?
I can eat a whole one.
Mine's a jar of Nutella.
I love saying.
I love Nutella. I'm not allowed
Biscoff,
a jar of, like scoop the Biscoff out with a bit of chocolate and then
with a cup of tea.
Do you know, I could just eat Nutella with a spoon, but it got to a point, probably a year before last, that I realised probably every other night my husband was coming home from work and popping into Tesco on the way saying, do we need more Nutella? And I was like, and then I realised I was probably eating like a jar of Nutella every couple of days, and I'd just be like, it's so easy. Like,
you were nursing a child at the time though.
I was.
Which kind is kind of okay.
I needed to have Nutella to breastfeed.
There are other chocolate brands of that kind of spready stuff available.
And also you don't need Nutella to breastfeed.
This brings us back to our conversations about the difference between needing and wanting.
But the thing is, you can want chocolate. I eat chocolate pretty much every day. I just eat it in the form of a protein bar now because it fills you up more.
Love protein bars.
Like Grenade protein bars, or like the Battle Bites ones, or there's loads of chocolatey ones.
They're
really good because
they
taste really nice. You should try them microwaved as well with a bit of that low calorie ice cream. Oh my god.
Oh, because what was the one Alicia came to my house earlier today. And
those Nature Valley ones aren't very good though, are they?
No, the Nature Valley ones, they're a bit naughty, like the peanut and chocolate protein bar. But I bet that tastes good once it's microwaved.
Do you know what we're doing here? We're sitting
we're just talking about food now.
I'm hungry.
Hang on.
Loads of chicken.
It's having those little hacks though, isn't it, just to get you out of the habit.
Yeah, absolutely. And having I'm a massive fan of boiled eggs, but I don't like the yellow bits. So in my house it's great because I literally will cook a load of boiled eggs off, and when I'm snacky I will take an egg out, eat the white and chuck the yolk at the dog. It's great.
I like the yolk. I'm the other way around. The yolk is the best bit.
Maybe I'm just weird.
The white's pointless.
I think we've established this thing.
But you can just buy egg whites on their own,
It's so expensive.
But you can just buy egg whites.
I've got a husband and 3 kids, and they're all boys, and they eat me out of house and home, so I'm just left with the egg whites.
Poor Alicia. So we digress. We digress. So you found out pretty much the morning when the taxi arrived. You were definitely going to be going. You flew. Did you fly from Newquay Airport?
Bristol. We had a taxi to Bristol.
Oh, so you went to Bristol. Yeah. You flew. Tell us what happened when you got there.
Well, they took our phones off us immediately when we got to the airport for one, so that cut off from society. And we got on the plane and they looked like they were sort of delivering people that were going to prison or something, because we just had no possessions.
No one had any hand luggage,
so they separated.
We were just sat on the plane on our
own,
to her. And Beth was down the other end of the plane. And we just sat there and people were looking at us.
And we had a handler person that would give us cash to get
hand luggage. And there was a lady coming round with cash. Would you like a drink? Here's some cash. We were like, yes, please, can I have a drink?
We only allowed water.
Would you like a sandwich?
So you literally literally thrown kind of straight into it.
Yeah, you weren't allowed anything with you, no belongings. Like, the only things we were really allowed to take were 2 pairs of underwear. And that's all we were allowed for the 2 weeks.
And the pair you were wearing, but then they took them off.
They took them off.
And I still lost my favourite sports bra.
Somewhere in Scotland.
Sports bras are so special as well.
And we picked like our best ones.
Did you post about that on Instagram?
I did.
I remember seeing
sports
a post.
bra lost somewhere in Scotland. Lots of people were messaging me like, I've looked for it and I can't find it. I'm like, I bet you have.
Bet you have. Bet you've got it.
So I tell you what I'm intrigued to know, because you've clearly got a really good relationship with one another, but you've already alluded to the fact that you're quite competitive.
Yeah.
Did your relationship change during the process, and has it changed again after?
No, not at all. I don't think we weren't competitive against each other.
They made us race though, didn't
but
they?
then we compete against each other quite a lot now, so we're used to that. And it wasn't like in a I'm gonna beat you and you're gonna lose way. Like, it was like, oh Beth beat me, yeah. It wasn't.
I'll win the next one, sort of thing.
It was harmless compared.
And actually, almost willing each other on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
it's like we just forget everybody else around us and compete with each other.
Yeah,
which means that we're ahead.
Do you think it messed up other people's game, like mentally, that you had each other there?
Yeah.
I kind of found it. I was quite emotional on the show, and I feel like having Beth there was a disadvantage to me for that reason, because if you have someone like you're close to, you're gonna like open up to them a bit more. If they were just all strangers, I think I would have closed off more, but because she was there, I'm like, oh Beth, so sad.
I guess there's pros and cons to having each other in that kind of situation.
I did notice though that you I mean, I don't know whether how much of this was editing or whether it was all very, very genuine, but people seem to automatically flock to you two for comfort and advice and just
we
words.
Were very much like the agony aunts.
Really?
I was helping people out. I mean, I think that might have been part of the reason I went. I don't know, but I did persuade quite a lot of people to not VW, and because of my job, like, I'm quite a supportive person, and I was looking after people, and I got told off for that a fair amount. But I think it was because that's
even from when we got to the hotel before we went on it. So we all put in this really weird hotel in the middle of Scotland, and we were given separate rooms with no belongings, and you were just like in this single bedroom room on your own. So weird. And then we had like a little bit of time out, and we were like, because I already knew where we were, I was like looking at maps, and everyone was like kind of gathering round us, like thinking that we knew all the tips and things. So I think they thought that we've got quite a lot of outdoor knowledge anyway, so I think they flocked to us for that. And because we live in Cornwall in the countryside, quite a lot of people were from London.
Country folk.
We're the country bumpkins. And there are loads of people who
They did notice
that.
Because I was like, I've done a bit of coasteering, and so has Ellie.
Yeah,
and
what's
got
quite the one that baffles me. So you guys keen map readers.
Map readers.
We weren't, but actually our mum took us out to teach us how to map read like a couple of weeks before the show, because we had an inkling we were going on it. Obviously they sent us our boots, so it was still not.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Does everyone sort of get a bit of a lesson, or are they just turning up and some people haven't prepared?
They gave us a book though. We did have a navigation manual, but it was awful.
It was the worst book I've ever read.
Ellie learnt a special technique. I still don't know how it works. You put your hand up to the sun, and then somehow you know where you're going.
Sure.
Said it in the book, and I'm sure it worked.
The thing that bothers me is finding out the magnetic north and the true north, and the mag to grid, get rid. And
that was quite hard.
I'm just like,
you seem like you know quite a lot.
Well,
a
little bit.
The maps were quite old as well, though, so that like gradient thing was all I don't really get it. But I tried though.
No, I'd be absolutely useless. I think I was driving through Plymouth earlier on after we'd been for a meeting this morning, and I was just driving in one direction. I said, Gillian, am I going the right way? She's like, yeah, here you are. I'm like a homing pigeon. I generally tend to know where I'm going. I'm just lucky.
I get really lost very easily. So I have to, like,
we talk about it quite a lot, but we're both international disaster responders for Team Rubicon, and you get given some map reading lessons at that as well, didn't we? But I hate map reading, I have to say. I find it
until you're actually out needing it, I think it's quite boring. But when you actually do need it, and you're like, I can do it, it's quite exciting.
It's a good skill to have. But
you need to kind of pass a certain level to do international disaster response, but then the comparison to that is you could be dumped at, you know, some sort of base in Mozambique where they don't actually even use maps. They just, what 3 words is the best thing to use?
I found out about it the other day. I did my
It's
first
awesome.
aid training at work, and like, that's so cool.
It is cool because actually you can just like move a few meters away and then say, where am I? And it'll just say, you know, like land, legs, hair.
Wow, where do those words come to?
I don't know.
A bit weird.
Anyway, if you haven't got what 3 words, have a look, see what we're on about. We're not endorsing them, it's just hilarious.
No, it's a cool app.
But all the emergency services do use it. Like, it's mad.
Well, it gives you an exact location, doesn't it? Isn't it a metre square or something?
It's crazy because actually, and it applies to the whole world.
It does.
Eventually, addresses will just be a thing of the past, and it'll be what 3
words.
words.
I'm assuming that's what they're hoping for, but it is crazy how
the people that created that app are literally quids in, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. It's incredible. So I'm interested to know, obviously you mentioned earlier, Beth, about how up until the day they were still ringing you and like checking you're okay because of your like bipolar. How did you find the process mentally? I'll ask you both this as well, but specifically you, because you mentioned your mental health.
There wasn't really a moment where it was affecting me any more than it was affecting anybody else. And actually, I think I had a bit of an advantage because I like know my mental health so well. I know when things are coming up that are like triggers, and I know what to avoid. And I can tell. They made me see the doctor every single day just to check in with me and check that I was okay. But there was never a point when I wasn't okay. So I was fine. I knew I was gonna be fine though. And like I went into it saying, look, I've managed my mental health at this point. I am recovered. Like I'm completely stable now, and I've been signed off as that by professionals. But they still doubted it, and I'm like,
I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because actually once you've been in crisis with your mental health, and then not necessarily a diagnosis, but you get to know your own mental health really well. You know when you're okay and when you're not.
And you know all your own strategies as well to help bring you back if there is ever a blip, which there are blips sometimes, you can't help that, but I always know exactly what to do and to get back to the gym and to make sure I'm sleeping enough and all that sort of stuff.
I mean the first breakdown that I had, I was at home for 6 months without going out. But then I knew when the next one was coming. About 18 months later I had a relapse and I was at home for 4 months. And then the third time I was only at home for 2 months, so actually I knew when it was coming.
It's progress, isn't it?
And again with the whole getting outside and getting exercise, we've talked about it before, but my dog at the time saved my life because he had to be walked, so I was getting outside and walking my dog every day.
Do you know they actually do emotional helper dogs for people?
They do. I've got a friend who's got a PTSD dog actually, and he works in central London, and Richard's PTSD is quite severe. And he's got an assistance dog, Ziggy. He's even got his own Twitter handle. And
oh, that was the dog that was commenting on your Instagram live the other day. And I was like, there's a dog commenting on Instagram. There's definitely a human behind the Instagram.
But they're so good, and they have them in nursing homes and all sorts, don't they? So cute.
They even have them in court actually nowadays. I feel like people who are a bit stressed going into court.
We have dogs at work actually, like quite a lot of them. They're just
so you should say, because you mentioned your work, you are a teacher, but you're in a specialist.
It's a social emotional mental health school. So a lot of the kids do struggle with mental health, and they've got quite bad backgrounds, and they struggle quite a lot. So dogs are super helpful.
Any excuse to get the dogs in.
Of course.
How was it for you? Like mentally?
Well, mentally it was probably harder than physically, mainly because I'm quite a control freak, so I like to always be in control.
Enthusiast, please.
So like not knowing what we were going to do all the time was a bit weird. So like they'd be like, right, go back to the accommodation and wait for your next instruction. So you like just sat there on edge, like they could come in at any minute. I don't want to take my boots off because I'm going to have to put them back on again. And that was really hard. Like that was probably one of the hardest things for me.
I think like on a really like much smaller scale, when we did the international responder course for Team Rubicon, that's like 4 or 5 days, and it's nowhere near as like grueling as your experience. But even with that, there's like a night where
I don't think we can say this for people that haven't been on the course, just in case.
Oh, okay. Well, they throw different surprises at you, as if you're in a disaster area.
And something else happens.
And things happen, so you never really know. It's you're on
You're on edge all the time.
The whole time, yeah. So yeah, no, I shouldn't say anymore. But yeah, it's an
awful feeling, isn't it? Because you know something's going to happen, but you don't know when, and
exactly
it's just
that.
like
and
constantly,
regardless of the weather. Like when we did it, it was pouring down with rain, wasn't it? And there's no let up. They're just they're gonna throw it all at you regardless. So
that was difficult. Yeah.
So how did you both feel when your journey then went separate ways and you were
cut? I was very annoyed actually, because there was no real explanation for it. Like hours before I was cut, I was told I was one of the strongest there, so it just literally made no sense.
It looked like you were.
Yeah, well, I didn't really struggle with a lot of it, and I was okay. I just really didn't understand. And they actually kept me under 24-hour observation afterwards, because I was just like, I really don't get it. Can you tell me? I was just fixating on like, why have you cut me? It doesn't make any sense.
Were you more annoyed or upset at the time, or
I was annoyed.
Angry?
Yeah, well, not like aggressive angry, but I was like, I don't get it. It was just odd. My toes were really infected. That was another thing. It was like really painful. They had to go get me flip-flops. So that's one of the immediate things I was thinking about. But other than that,
my toes are infected for no reason now.
I had a moment where I sat down in the chair and just cried, and I was just like, my toes hurt so much. And she didn't know what to do. The lady that was with us, looking after her, she's like, oh my god, I'll get you some flip-flops. It's okay.
Where does a production runner go in the middle of nowhere in Scotland for a pair of flip-flops?
They had to send a team to the island, wherever, I think it was Skye, to literally search these flip-flops, and then they came back and they were wedges and they had gems on them. I was so thankful for these flip-flops though, because they just couldn't wear shoes.
Do you still have them?
I do.
Aww. Souvenirs.
Do you know what? I bet next series they take flip-flops for everyone.
They should.
They learn from each series, and then nobody will use them. Will be like, for God's sake, these flip-flops all the way.
And I'm assuming, in the spirit of maintaining the feel of it and keeping. Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you didn't get to say goodbye to each other.
No. It was like she handed her number in and she was gone then. That was it.
Yeah. So how did you feel? Were you annoyed or were you upset?
Yeah, I was like, I didn't understand why she'd gone either, really. And I was like, she's been so strong, I don't really get it. But I wasn't, people were like, were you not really upset? Weren't you going to miss her? And I was like, well, no, not, it's 2 weeks.
I'm going to
see her in a week.
So they were like, oh, how do you feel about Eddie still being in there? I'm like, great, she'll cry.
I think they thought I would feel really emotional because she'd gone and I'd miss her, and it wasn't really like that at all. I was just like, right, I've got to do it for both of us.
Yeah, well, I suppose you're right as well. You know when it's going to end. You don't know.
Yeah, we know it. It was like a week. I'm not going to miss her in a week. No offense.
Actually, watching you come off was upsetting, but watching you come off was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I was just like, no. I shouted at the television.
I was really
She would have sooner died.
Yeah. People have said to me, literally, you would have died before you gave up, and I was like, well, yeah, actually I would. I wasn't ever going to give up. I was feeling horrific for about, I don't know, the whole of interrogation, really, because we'd got captured in the water and then we got put on a speedboat that went 60 miles an hour in soaking wet
You
clothes.
never see the speedboats.
And
it was
so cold. I can't even describe how cold I was even by the time we got there. And then you're made to stand still with a hood on, and if you move, they'll beat you around the head. So you can't, if you're cold normally, you jog on the spot. You weren't allowed to do anything, and I was just so cold, and it was putting my fingers on the wall was agony just because my bones were cold. It was horrid.
I think you could tell that because there's no way that anyone could say that anyone was faking their emotions through those scenes. You were so pale as well.
I watched it back. I was like, oh god, I look horrific.
You look
You're
really
just bad.
How do you feel? What I said was bad. Do you remember that?
How did your friends and family feel about you being on the show? And
Mum didn't want us to go on it at all.
Mum didn't know what it was, and she was like, is it like Love Island?
Oh no,
it's not like Love Island.
Not really.
I was really into
No, she didn't want us to go on it at all. But mainly because she doesn't like the whole reality TV kind of editing and the editing. Yeah, she was worried about that. Yeah. But now she's really positive about it, isn't she? She's like really proud of it.
I was going to say, but she's really proud.
Yeah, she is, and
she even talks to some of the other recruits. Which
she
is really
does.
cute.
She speaks to Pav all the time.
Pav's amazing.
Yeah.
He's like so philosophical. And, like, his Instagram's just.
I was going to say, has she got social media and she messages
because she's an artist. She's got quite a big Instagram following as well, actually. But she's been like posting about it on hers and like.
What's your mum's
I'm going to follow your
handle?
Susie Sharp Art. Yeah.
Love that.
That's it. She's telling she's got 2 new fans.
Yeah.
So you're an art teacher. Is that how you got into art?
Yeah, because obviously I grew up with a mum that's an artist, and Ellie did a bit of art for a while as well, but not past
I was good at
college.
it, but she
didn't
never
like
wanted
it.
to do it. I was always like forcibly dragged to art galleries, and I just used to sit on the chair in the middle and I look around like, yeah, cool.
It's just cold and quiet. Get me out.
And now you're a solicitor.
Yeah.
Still cold and quiet.
Yeah.
Oh dear. So you also alluded to on the programme that you, I mean obviously we're in Cornwall, but your background is in sort of like, you grew up around farming, very rural, which set you up in good stead.
Yeah, we've always been really outdoorsy, haven't we? Like our family have just always been really outdoorsy.
And we worked quite hard from when we were kids as well.
People would always be like playing computer games and stuff, and we weren't allowed. So we'd always be like running around the fields, like playing in hay bales and stuff like that instead. And like, because we're near the coast, we've always been in the water and things. So those things didn't really faze us. No. And like our dad has always taken us like coast steering and kayaking and climbing and
I think that's just like the beauty of growing up in the southwest.
Definitely. Like the backwards dive, that was my absolute dream. I was like buzzing. If you watch the footage, everyone's like, oh my god, then me and Ellie are in the back like, let's do this. This is so cool.
And everyone's like, didn't you find the tasks hard? And they were actually just my highlight. Like I looked forward to doing all the tasks. Like, they're the best bit for me.
Like the I don't know, I can't remember what they call it, but where everyone's lying down linking arms with the waves coming over.
Oh, that was horrible. Not that.
I mean, it looks horrific, but actually for me, like running up and down the hill with a giant man on my back would be pretty horrific.
Oh no, I didn't mind the running so much. That task was horrible. The waves were just relentlessly breaking on your face, so you just feel like you're drowning.
And they make you put your head back as well, so it's just like going up your nose and in your throat.
I don't like that. So I went surfing when I was about 14, 15 years old with friends at Boobies Bay, and got caught in a riptide, and I didn't really know at the time that if you're caught in a riptide you're meant to swim like sideways. I didn't really know what to do, and I remember like 1 minute we were quite close to the beach, and then literally within what seemed like seconds we were so far out, and I remember looking at my friend and saying to him, we're drowning. And I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this before. It actually makes me feel like crying.
It happened to us as well.
Yeah, and I remember saying to him, we are drowning, and I was literally shouting at him saying, I cannot find the strength to like keep above, like keep above this.
It's draining you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so draining. And I remember my surfboard was gone, his was gone, and every time I managed to like get my breath and get above water, your face, you're literally like stressed. Every time I get above water, I would turn around and another wave would be coming, and I remember going like, oh my god, like I can't do this, and I wasn't going any further forward.
Yeah.
I was getting pulled back, but it was mostly like staying in the same place, but just couldn't stay above water. My friend's boyfriend, who she's actually stayed with and is now married to, and like they've literally been together since they were teenagers, managed to get out basically and drag me back to the beach. But I genuinely thought I was going to die that day. Like it was absolutely horrific. And I don't really like even swimming underwater. Like I don't really like. I like swimming. I like being in the sea. I like surfing, like bodyboarding, like all of that. But I don't really like going under because I just don't like water. Who likes water up their nose? And it was.
I can't comment because I love scuba diving. So
well, but it's just
probably that panic though from it, because we had a very similar experience when we were kids, horrible. And me and Ellie and Mum were caught in a riptide, and we didn't think we were going to get out. And I remember Mum managed to get Ellie and take her back to the shore, but I remember that it must have been seconds. But I
your
felt
favourite child.
She was smaller, in fairness. I have had words with Mum about this because I'm traumatised by it. But and I just remember the water getting in my mouth and me seeing them go off and then thinking she's leaving me. And
gosh.
That's really traumatic.
I know, yeah, but I'm like fine now. But what I didn't realise, I didn't drown.
Like the two of us are like, we're fine now.
I'm totally fine. Yeah. So last year, because I didn't know whether I was going to get on the show or not, I set myself another challenge of doing a triathlon in open water.
Wow.
And I've done quite a lot of like swimming in a pool before, but what I didn't realise is when I started sea swimming, that memory kept coming back to me. Every time I put my head in the water for a little bit longer, I would start to have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And so
I have dreams about like vast amounts of water still, and I know it just goes back to that moment, because I genuinely, I really, really vividly remember repeatedly shouting at my friend, "We're drowning," and he was like, "I know," and we just kept saying it to each other. I was like, "We're going to die," and he was like, "I know," and we just kept saying it to each other.
I had somebody fall off of an inflatable, quite a large lady, when I must have been about 9 or 10, in the pool, and she fell on top of me. And it was at Morton Marsh Fire Training College, so the pool there is so deep because of I'm doing the training there, and I went all the way to the bottom and hit my head. And I remember thinking at the time, I'm done. Yeah. But luckily I didn't pass out. But the feeling associated with something hitting you and pushing you down, and then getting yourself knocked out, it like plays in slow motion.
It does. Yeah, I do remember like kept getting pushed underwater and just thinking that's it. Like, and I remember thinking, oh my god, my mum and dad, they're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me if I'm not dead already. They're gonna be
water
so annoying.
Safety, folks.
Yeah, definitely.
Go on your back, lie on your back if you're drowning.
Lie on your back and swim sideways in it.
Yeah.
In fact, if you can, stand on the beach and watch for the flat bit in the middle of the waves.
Yeah.
RNLI website.
We were just like stupid teenagers that grew up in Devon and were always in Cornwall and thought that it was a good idea to go out surfing when
nobody goes surfing in the storm which is coming.
So safety first always. But
so taking us back to the programme just a little bit, when you came off and it was like your time that was done for you, what's the process between you finishing, because you've just said that you were kind of monitored for 24 hours to make sure that you were okay with not continuing? Was it the same?
It was. I didn't, because I finished and then it was like 6 hours later that it finished in total. So we were. I was sent to a hotel because I think I came out at like 4ish a.m.
Was it the same hotel as me with the lady that was like your nan?
No, so I went to Rassay House. No, I think I went there as well. So I went to Rassay House and had like an hour's sleep. I wasn't allowed my phone or anything then. They were like, you're not allowed your phone until you've seen a psychologist. So I went there and I had like an hour's sleep and a shower, and then I got taken to some strange lady's house.
Oh yeah,
the old lady.
It's like an Airbnb.
Yeah.
She's lovely.
Yeah, she's lovely.
Yeah.
And like you just get into like this like really old school room with like all these floral bed sheets. And and then I was there for probably another 4 hours, and then we were taken off the island, and then we went to like back to Inverness. So it wasn't. I didn't get like monitored or anything after. But
I think it was only me that got monitored. And I got an escort the whole way home as well. They paid for a lady to go the whole way with me, and also hand me to my mum too. I wasn't okay though, to be fair. I had a panic attack when I saw a sensor on a tap in the airport. It was bad. I couldn't talk to people either. I was like traumatised for a good week. I couldn't make eye contact with men or like authority figures.
I was in a big group of people when I left though, because like 6 or 7 of us came out at the same time, so we were all there like together, so that was probably a little bit easier.
I was with people too. There were people that came out at the same time as me, but it didn't.
We had
because they were all spinning out as well.
We've got some patrons, and we actually we allow them to ask some questions, and one of the questions was actually, was it weird to be in those circumstances where there was just men shouting at you constantly, a group of men, or do you think it would help if they had a female DS?
It didn't really make any difference to me.
I think it just made me scared of women as well.
Yeah.
I just be scared of everyone.
No,
it was like specifically male authority figures that like kind of look quite strong and like potentially a bit aggressive. I was just like, can't look at you.
I was fine with it.
I kind of liked it. Sign me up.
Gillian's really keen to get on the show. That's what we're leading towards. I'm too old, but she's not.
You're not too old.
No, you're not.
No,
No,
I am.
You're not. Surely not.
I'm 39.
Well, it's
Well, you're not
44.
too
so.
old.
You're not too old.
Carla, who was on it,
Yeah.
Carla's 40.
Yeah, Carly's 40. Yeah, I heard that.
and Nikki is 40.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not too
actually,
old.
Vicky from last year, she was 40, I think, as well.
You're not too old.
Yeah, I'm too fat. No, I years ago when it first came out, I was like, maybe, but then no, life happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think the bit that would put me off is being cold. I'm just.
Oh, it was horrible.
But you might not be
Cold.
cold because I think the desert's the one that comes next after the UK, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you
it's
look at the
hot.
sequence,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
Any excuse. I'm too old.
No,
I'm
I
too
don't mind
fat.
being too hot.
cold. Too. Oh, okay.
No, it's literally just the cold that stops
Well,
me.
there
I'm
we go,
not
next
keen on the
season.
wind, but yeah. Nah. Too busy
Yeah,
podcasting.
the cold wasn't good for
Yeah.
you at Team Rubicon, actually, was it? It was
No,
the cold.
I'm
that,
useless
yeah.
with the cold. Like anything else, throw it at me, but just can't function in the cold. I literally just can't. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
So since you've been back, what was the readjustment like? I mean, you've just kind of alluded to not
Yeah.
being able to go out for a bit and
yeah.
speak to
No,
people.
I went out. I went straight back to work.
Yeah, I just
Oh,
got
it's just-
straight back into
loud
the
banging
routine.
noises was a bit.
Like, I just threw myself back into it because I think if I stayed, I think I had one day off work maybe, and then I was back here in the office and I was sat in a nice warm room and like it's pretty chilled. So
Did
wasn't-
did you book like annual leave, or did your work let you just have 2 weeks off?
well, they
like,
kind of knew. they say we're like allowed.
I
to
was
tell
allowed
our
to tell my job.
work.
Mine was a brand new job, so,
Yeah.
and they were buzzing for me to go on.
Oh,
there.
that's
They're
awesome.
lovely. My work are
Yeah,
amazing.
my work
It's
has been
like,
so
yeah, go.
supportive as well.
Yeah.
So they all watch the show and they're all really behind
we should say
it.
we're actually recording this
Yeah.
at your
at my
office
work,
right now.
Marbury.
Thank you. Just in the solicitor's office. Thanks for a podcast.
So are you watching it live? Have you been watching it live every week? Or
Yeah, because that's the first time we see
We
it
don't
as
get
well.
it
We don't get to
before.
see it before.
you don't get to see like
So
episode
we don't
1 or
actually
anything?
know what's
Oh,
going to
wow.
come out.
We get a phone call every week, and they let us know what we're going to
Yeah.
be on it.
So they're like, you
Or-
said this, and you're like, oh God, did I?
Yeah, you don't know how it's going to play either, and you don't know what music's going to be behind it, or like how they're portraying it. All you know
Yeah.
is your words and their words, and it's like it could be
Yeah, that's
that's really
scary in
interesting.
itself
Yeah, it is
because
scary,
actually,
yeah.
you could think it's going to come across one way and then be sitting in front of the television
Yeah.
going,
Yeah, and I guess
Exactly.
as a control freak or control enthusiast, as we've decided is the new word, that's really hard.
Yeah,
actually.
well,
Like,
although
not-
I've kind of got better at it now, I think I've really learned from that I will relax a bit more and I just let them I have no choice, but
No,
it's
it's
just
hard
all
though,
in their hands, so
yeah.
you just kind of have to relax about it.
I remember like local newspaper in Plymouth wanted to write an article about me. Obviously, hello. Last year about something unrelated to this podcast, and I know the journalist who was writing it, and I was like, please can you just send me all of it before you put it
Yeah.
on the website and before you put it out? And she was like, it's going to be fine, Gillian, you don't need me to. And I was like, no, seriously,
weird though, isn't
I
it?
need
Yeah.
to like read this and she was like, Gillian, it's fine.
No,
And I was
actually,
like,
do you know what? This
But-
is probably a really good opportunity for me to say that I had a similar incident, but it was in national newspapers. And part of the articles I'd had something to do with, and then they said, oh, you've got final editing rights. But you don't, because then they
No.
send it off to their editing team,
And then they-
who completely change everything you've said.
in a
and
couple
then
of
it comes
articles,
out
I
and
was
you
a
think,
nurse. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had occupation change.
Nurse?
Yeah, nurse.
Oh, okay.
Good job.
Some of the ages in mine were changed as well,
Yeah.
like when
Yeah.
things
Yeah,
happened.
dates
and-
had changed,
Yeah.
and, which particularly with Beth, because of the domestic violence thing,
Yeah.
they changed the dates, which kind of
It
really
actually
incriminated
lines
a
up,
different boyfriend.
Yeah, with another boyfriend who was
Oh my
completely lovely to
God.
me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think anybody clocked onto that, but it wasn't him. If anything,
It's
but-
really infuriating as well. She's like, you've been given this information that was correct from my mouth,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and now it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that particular one was over the phone, and I guess she just like flustered. when
Even
she
one
wrote it
article, they published like Eloise Gregor, spelt my name wrong, 27, wrong age, and nurse from Cornwall, different picture of someone completely different. I'm like, where
Wow.
did you get any of this from? Like, none of this is right. I don't know.
Amazing.
What are you doing?
Brilliant
Oh, it's
journalism.
funny as well. At work, they asked me if I'd survived cancer because somebody put that next to my name, and because obviously they meant
Yeah.
Carla. But I'm
It's
like,
just
no,
the
I'm
media
not-
is crazy.
I'm not that one.
Yeah.
And then Mark as well got cancer survivor at one point.
Yeah.
I just
God,
don't know where they
that's
get it from.
Sloppy.
Yeah,
That
it is
yeah.
sloppy journalism. It's sad in a way. It's frustrating because you then can't correct it, and then people go off on a bandwagon, and then you've got Twitter to deal with.
Yeah.
And,
Oh God, Twitter. Don't even look at Twitter.
Oh my goodness. I'm not really a Twitterer. You do all the tweeting.
yeah, I do engage a lot because I think we've talked about this as well. It's nice to kill people with kindness.
Yeah.
Even the arseholes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I quite like that.
Yeah.
We had one guy talking about Beth's deadlift on Twitter, and he was like, "Oh, 172 pounds.
Oh,
That's
it's
sweet,"
funny.
or something.
Yeah,
Like,
oh
no,
no, you know when
man.
they're insecure when they say it in pounds. I was like, mate, it's in kilos.
And then he kept like going on.
Oh my goodness.
And all he
his
can
whole
lift is the
deeper.
keyboard from his laptop.
So you mentioned then about domestic violence. Are you happy talking about?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Honestly, on the TV though, that was the first time I have spoken publicly about it, or
Really?
about it to anybody, which it seems mad. But I didn't really think about being on TV at that point because I was sat in a room with a medic who's like got a background in mental health, and he was asking me how I felt, as he did every day because of my bipolar disorder.
Tapping into your.
Yeah, so I had to be honest. That was our agreement. I had to be honest with how I felt. Obviously, I wasn't okay because of the stuff that had come back, and I just spoke to him the way I would speak to a counsellor of any sort. So I never planned for that to come out or be on telly or any of that.
Yeah.
Which is a bit mad.
But when you're in that situation and you're speaking to someone, it's and they're
It
tapping
just
into
poured
you.
out.
Yeah. So how long were you in that relationship for?
Quite a while, a couple of years,
Okay.
maybe 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's hard to talk about
Yeah.
that. The specific, I can't
Yeah.
really talk about what happened because it just.
Do you think
makes me
now,
cry.
like, don't
Yeah.
want to cry, like,
No.
but do you think?
It will be flashbacks to what you
Yeah,
saw on telly.
absolutely not. Like, let's not go there. But
Yeah.
do you think there will be a time that you feel confident talking about that? Because obviously you've been on a TV program, and you could end up being like a spokeswoman for charities or something. Would you feel comfortable doing that one day, or is it not something?
I don't think I would need to go into detail about
No.
like all of the
No.
stuff because it's just too traumatic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I talk about mental health freely on my Instagram at the moment.
Yeah.
And
I think that's really inspirational
It
because
is.
if you and again it's something we've talked about, but if you can just help one person, that there's what it you
that's
can,
exactly how I feel about
200
it. And even
people
the
read
weight
it.
loss, like anything that I put out there is just for that one person. And I know I've helped one person at least already, more than one. Because like I get quite a lot of messages
I bet
from
you
people
do.
that have been on a journey, and it's like from seeing something.
And
that
your
I
like
put
before
up,
and after
so
picture is so like impressive. Like it's amazing.
it's just a bit mad. I feel like a completely different person.
Yeah. Well, you look
Yeah.
like a completely different
I
person.
remember trying to
like-
persuade you to take the before photos, and you were like, "No."
Oh no, I watched a video from it was Obese to Beast. I'm not sure if you've heard of him. He's amazing. He's from America.
Obese
but-
to beast.
Yeah, he lost a load of weight, and he was like, "Take before photos because you'll thank
Yeah.
yourself later."
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I wish
I'm
I'd
so
taken more.
glad,
Really,
yeah.
Yeah.
because I had no idea how big I was. Actually.
Well, that is the thing with I think with weight loss as well, is you can, especially if you're the kind of person like I am, that whether I'm bigger or smaller, my proportionally I always stay the same. So I
Yeah.
don't have like a particular problem area, because like some people can gain weight and it's all in their bum
belly
or their
something,
belly. Me, it's all over even. So
Yeah.
I literally do have to measure myself or stand on the scales to see that I've gained or lost weight, because otherwise I look in the mirror and I feel like I look kind of the same as I did before, just a slightly bigger version.
I
or a
don't weigh
slightly smaller
myself. I
version.
used to, but I got too obsessed with it. So I stopped weighing myself. And while I was training physically, I used to measure myself, but now I just go by the size of my clothes, and if my jeans feel tight, I know I've put weight on, and if they feel okay, then I know I'm okay. Because I just wanted to ease the pressure off, and I found that massively helps as well.
I actually went the opposite way, and I weighed myself like every day, but more to see how much it fluctuates. 'Cause, like
It
people
does
get
help
so
you
hung up
understand it.
on losing a
Yeah.
pound in a week
Yeah.
or
Water
something.
weight.
But like if you measure yourself every day, you'll see that your weight fluctuates so much.
does.
So
Yeah.
if you're like, oh my god, I lost a pound, like maybe you just ate less yesterday.
Maybe you just had
Did
a
a big
massive
poo.
Yeah, maybe
Like, or
you
you
just drunk
actually-
more water or something.
Yeah.
Like it's
I've actually got an app that
so-
logs it. It's the Smart Scales, and it puts it all into a
I've
graph.
got the Fitbit
Yeah.
Aria scales at home.
Oh,
I
right.
don't actually have a Fitbit anymore, but it's still linked. I give it to my mum.
I don't even look at the number or anything. I just
But-
let it log. I'll just stand on the scales
Yeah.
every morning and let it log it, and then I'll go
Same.
back if I'm ever wondering like what my weight is doing, which way it's tracking,
Yeah.
and then I'll just have
I
a
do
look
the
at
same. I
that.
don't really look, but it
Yeah.
tracks on the app on my
Exactly.
phone. It's
You've lost
quite
me
good.
completely.
Oh.
Just by apps
You
and
literally
phones.
stand on it, and then it like sends
Syncs
the
to your
data
phone.
to your
So
phone.
clever.
Yeah.
Witchcraft.
It is true wizardry.
Yeah.
But no, you should. I agree. Going back a little bit. Don't ever feel like you do have to go into detail about stuff. But at the same time, Survivor.
Yeah.
Legendary, awesome woman. So
Oh, look at inspiration to anyone else that's having a hard time around that whole subject matter.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem at the time was it was emotional abuse for so long before it ever got physical, and he just like beat me down to the point where I just felt completely worthless and like I deserved it. So by the point it did get physical, I thought it was my fault anyway.
And that's what led to your depression and that massive downward spiral as well. It was all linked.
It triggered my mental illness basically, because you can actually, so bipolar disorder can be hereditary, so you can live with it, and you can have like the genes or whatever that will make you have it, but unless it's triggered by a traumatic event, it actually might never surface. So that's what makes it
there's a lot of mental health disorders that you can be predisposed to, but never trigger. And I think that's also really important, because it's identifying what the trigger is, and then changing your lifestyle or making changes so that you don't have to go through that as you start to get the post-traumatic growth.
Exactly.
But look at you now.
So speaking of growth, where are we going?
What's next?
What is next? Lots of CrossFit competitions.
I love competing, and I just want to do more adventures.
European Championships, a big one. And it's an individual one as well, which I'm a bit scared about, because I always compete in teams, and like I like having people around me, so it's not all on me. But
where's that going to be?
It's in Chelmsford, I believe.
They're always in Chelmsford.
So much goes on in Chelmsford.
We know so many in Chelmsford. Yeah, especially like CrossFitters, ex-military, like loads of veterans. It seems to be the place.
Let us know what you think of Chelmsford.
So I'm there next weekend. That's a big one, but. Yeah, we just do a lot of CrossFit competitions. We've got Tribal Clash with some of the SAS guys.
Oh, that's on the beach,
July,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Portugal?
No,
Devon.
Devon's the
Kingsbridge. Bantham Beach in Kingsbridge.
Oh, Bantham's awesome. Yeah.
Not quite
you're
Portugal,
gonna love it.
But
They're lovely though. They gave us a ticket for that off the back of the show,
That's
because it's fitnessy, and there are some of us that aren't CrossFitters that are doing it.
There's another one in Exmouth as well, actually.
Is there?
Yeah.
And we're doing something called Born Survivor, which is like an obstacle race.
Yeah,
like a military-based one.
That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, that would be exciting.
Any more TV stuff coming up?
We were talking about this earlier. So we were going to apply for
Love Island.
The Hunter. But I don't know how kindly my employer would take if I told them I was taking another month off work.
It's like 6 weeks, that one.
Yeah.
And I think we would crush it.
I'd really like to do that.
And like, we know exactly how to do it. It's just the logistics.
The Hunters.
Yeah.
They're the ones who've Shine TV produced the programme that I'm on as well. So
Oh, do they?
yeah, they're great. They are really good.
And we
They
know
do good
Jordan.
TV. Yeah, we know some of the Hunters. So,
Oh, do
yeah.
you?
Hi, Jordan.
Maybe I could like come to work at the same time.
Yeah, Ellie can work remotely.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know
Do
what?
it summer holidays.
I think you'd both be really good at that.
No, we
yeah.
would be. I think we'd crush it. Because like the thing is, they didn't show this, but we've got quite a lot of survival skills, and I think we shouldn't say it maybe if we get on, but we might go off grid a little bit. And we had to like skin a deer on the SAS show and butcher it, and we got the nickname the Butcher Sisters. And then I had to skin a couple rabbits, so we'd have no problems if we went out into the wild. We'd be able to find our own food. We wouldn't need to go shopping. So
God, that would be so good.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, we'd like to do more things like that.
Yeah. What about the island?
I'd love to do that as well.
Race across the world.
What's that one?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, they've got to get from like the UK to. Is it somewhere in China?
Yeah, I think it is China.
With
maybe not at the minute.
They get a budget and it's 11 days.
Oh, it's
I think.
incredible. It's
They've
like
got
the producers
to
and directors who work within that kind of adventure
That's amazing.
filming.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do
and
that.
they've got like checkpoints
We were talking
to
about
get
this the other day.
We were talking about this the other day because you
that'd
met
be cool.
someone who I'd worked with on Heist who films on that and has also worked on SAS Studios.
Yeah, so they've got to like find ways of transport so they can like hitchhike.
That's
they can,
so cool.
They're not allowed to get a plane. They can have a boat, but they've got to get across the world without using a plane.
I love that. I did a bit of travelling in Asia and like got on buses and just found my way to like hill tribes and like over waters, and also I think I'd be good.
There you
at
go.
that.
Have a go at that. Go big or go home.
And actually, that's only 11 days.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, they'd let me have that one.
We'll apply as well.
We'll race you.
I think we should do it together just as a team. Don't really want to race you, should we?
Yeah, we'd lose.
We definitely lose. What we should talk about is what's next as well, is that we are all doing the same event.
Oh yeah.
Next month we're all abseiling.
Oh yeah.
see your eyes glazed over them.
We're doing quite a lot of events.
So we are all abseiling for Rocks to Recovery and Hugs from Henry, which is a local charity in Plymouth for children's cancer, neuroblastoma. Well, actually, I think it's for all childhood cancers now.
Yeah.
And that's on the 28th of March, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's the 28th of March. And we're going to be abseiling off Home Park.
And
That's
you can all
exciting.
do it if you want to take part. You can go on the Eventbrite website.
Yeah,
You can go on Eventbrite. You can check it out on the Hugs from Henry Facebook page and the Rocks to Recovery. We've got a link on our Instagram. You've posted things on Instagram on your stories.
Or if you just want to help us fundraise, you've got a fundraising page set up yet?
No, we haven't, not yet.
Oh, we have.
Yeah. We win!
So we set ours up last night. Yeah, we beat you! So that was going to be really,
that's
really
gonna be so cool.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that, actually. I think it's going to be a really fun day.
You're scared of heights?
No, but I don't really know the details. I'm assuming we're going to be strapped to someone. They're not just going to be
strapped to someone.
Not strapped to someone, but
you just want to get strapped to someone. I know what you're up to.
No, I didn't mean to say strapped to someone, but I mean we're going to have someone probably going down at the same time. Yeah, that's
no, there'll be
the
someone
word.
at the bottom, for safety.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I don't know if you'll be going down at the same time.
Okay.
No,
that's
I think
fine.
they're just going to
that's
set
the
a couple up at the same time and then you just go for it.
But
it'll be over in 3 seconds.
We're going to have some,
Have you done an abseil before?
Yes,
or anything like
I've done
that?
abseiling before.
It's the bit where you have to, lie down over the edge, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to
just
go forwards.
Yeah.
I think
that would be
walk
down the wall.
I don't know if there's a wall. I think it is just over the stand.
Viaduct, which I'd quite like to walk down it forwards.
Yeah, because I just remembered having to just go back and be standing.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be... I don't know. Well, we'll find out on the day, I guess.
I thought, because there's going to be people, and I have abseiled before, but I thought because there's literally people doing it that have zero experience, that there would be... Because someone asked me about it today and I was like, I'm not really sure.
But the belay person will have ultimate control. So if they need to stop you, they'll just stop you.
Yeah.
Because if they just pull down, they stop.
Because the person that asked me, I won't name names, but was saying, are you going to be going down with someone alongside you at the same time? I was like, I don't know.
That's probably harder, I imagine.
Yeah.
No, it will just be someone at the bottom.
I just refer back to you wanting to be strapped to somebody.
Strap me to someone. Anyone.
We're meant to be doing a skydive in the summer as well. You'll be strapped to somebody then.
Yeah.
Whether that happens or not,
I
don't
want to
know.
do so much more skydiving.
Yeah, our schedules are rammed, so we're trying to fit it in because we tend to not just do these random things unless it's for charity.
I wouldn't jump out of a plane unless I was strapped to someone.
I would like being strapped to people.
Maybe.
I'm a control enthusiast as well. I would rather do it myself.
Yeah, no,
a skydive.
Yeah. I'd love to get myself
you have to
a
get a
skydiving
certain amount
license.
of training though, don't you?
I would
that would be so cool.
Anyone want to get a skydiving license?
Yeah. But that's my problem. I'm actually a high risk advisor. A risk advisor within security, and believe it or not, my appetite for risk is literally up here.
Same here.
Which is bad.
Yeah,
it is.
Give me all of the risky
established
things.
that we both have a big appetite.
I really want
risk.
a motorbike, but I think it would be incredibly dangerous.
But so we've decided that. Yeah, what we're going to do is I'm going to get a motorbike with a sidecar.
Not with you, the way that you drive. I wouldn't want to get in your sidecar.
And you can be in the sidecar with goggles.
Even when I go skiing and stuff, I have to make it a challenge. It's how fast can I go down this mountain?
Definitely. We've got this app and she's just
But you like that as a driver as well?
Yeah.
Awkward.
But skiing, I think I got 66 miles an hour on.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Just don't turn, just head down.
So it's a shame they don't do the jump anymore because you could have done that.
Yeah. Oh no, I'd die.
I'd do that.
Yeah. They stopped that for
so many injuries.
Because people kept getting really, really injured.
Yeah.
Olympians that can never do their sport again because they've been injured. Beth Tweddle, wasn't it? That broke her spine or something, I think.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. We digress again. I think we have literally exhausted everything that you've got to say about.
I know. I feel like I've just been smiling constantly.
It's so good to chat, and it's so nice for us because we've spoken to so many guys on the podcast, and although we've done a couple of interviews with ladies that are yet to be released. It's really nice to sit and talk to some other really strong.
I know. We did a post the other day. We're like,
females.
first few podcasts have been a bit testosterone
I
heavy.
saw that.
Yeah. I think we'll get some ladies on now. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we will put all your social media links on our show notes as well. So anyone out there that's wanting to check out Ellie and Beth's social media for all these lovely pictures that you're talking about, or all these crazy sporting events.
Yeah. We do post a lot of CrossFit. I warn you in advance.
Yeah, most people like looking at it, even if they're not into it, though. That's
Yeah.
the benefit. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, have a check of their social media accounts. They are really inspirational. Definitely tick all our Wild Ones boxes, and we're just really grateful that you said yes to coming on. We'll see you halfway down Home Park Stadium.
Yeah. I might be strapped to a man or whatever.
We'll find you one.
I think we should make that happen.
Can anyone strap themselves to Gillian? Right, I think that's enough. So that was Beth and Ellie from SAS Who Dares Wins. I had such a good time with them down in Cornwall. Did you?
They're really easy to get along with. I feel inspired, and I love going on road trips with you. Only when I'm driving, though.
Only when you're driving.
Yeah.
Why?
No, we won't tell everyone about that. Your driving's very good, Gillian.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if anyone heard that little chuckle from producer Pete in the background. So this week we need to talk about Danger Close coffee. Oh my god, it smells incredible. For those that are watching, brilliant.
Oh, I feel like I'm on a shopping channel.
Yeah, you look like you're on a shopping channel.
Zoom in.
So Danger Close Coffee sent us some dark roast. What have you got there? Medium roast?
Medium roast, premium blend. Handpicked in Peru, Brazil, El Salvador and Uganda. Expertly roasted
Colombia
in
as well. This
This
one's
different
Colombia.
to mine.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's really nice. Anyway, get yourself some Danger Close coffee. It's really nice. Thanks for sending us this.
Veteran owned.
It is veteran owned. It's roasted by Matthew Algig and Company Limited, and we love it. It's really good, really tasty.
Oh, Glasgow.
Definitely. We will put the links up online for you if you want to try some Danger Close coffee. We love it, and please send us more because it's nice.
And have we had these on camera before?
I'm not sure.
We got sent some mugs that say, what do they say?
Wild at heart.
Wild at heart.
Which we absolutely are.
So true.
It pisses everyone else
So
off in our
true.
entire lives, but yes, we are wild at heart.
Producer Pete's really sad that he didn't get one.
Yeah, don't send him one. He's not in our gang. We also want to thank Plymouth Armed Forces Awards for their ongoing support. And we also want to thank Red Rock because this week they made us some really, really cool new business cards and a banner.
And a banner. I was about to say the pop-up banner is
Banging.
banging.
It's a banging banner.
If you are actually listening to this on Wednesday, the day that it comes out, or watching it on YouTube on Thursday, then what we can say is that this week on Friday night we will be live on BBC Radio Devon from 7 until 10 p.m. You can listen online or on BBC Radio Devon. If you don't live in Devon, you could drive to Devon in your car just to listen to 3 hours of
Do you not
radio.
get it on DAB? We will be filling the airwaves with some banging tunes. That's the second time I've said banging.
But we will be joined
By?
by Beth Ellie, who you've just listened to on this podcast.
There will be some different things that we're talking about because we're there for an International Women's Day special, and we can't wait to share our thoughts and feelings around that subject, and also chat to maybe some callers, some listeners.
Play some songs.
Yeah.
Do the travel news.
I don't think we get
weather.
to do that bit.
Oh.
I know.
Huh.
Maybe we could do some that with our green screen one day. I want to poke a stick at the weather map and do that. Anyway, we've rattled on enough. Thank you for listening in to another episode.
Thank you very much. And thank you to our patrons on Patreon because we lost one and he's come back.
Yay, Dermot!
Love you.
We had a new patron sign up this
Did
week
we?
as well. Yeah. I got a notification from Patreon yesterday evening to say that somebody else has signed up. So thank you very much. If you're interested in supporting us and what we do, please check out our Patreon web links, and that would be wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in, and we can't wait to share next week's episode with you, which is already pre-recorded and a really good one too. I'm excited. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We'll hear, see, listen next week. Bye.